Hi, everybody. We're going to chat in our NKCES online training series about ways we can build progress monitoring tools to support behavior goals. If you are doing this series of trainings, welcome. If you are just engaging with us in one video, welcome also. If this is part of our NKCES training series, though, be sure that you link back into the handout you received so that you can check out the other resources and complete the assessment that we'll be sharing at the end of the training. So today, as we chat about progress monitoring, there are several collaborative tools that we can use. And I always start my thinking with Google Forms and Google Docs. Some other tools that are outside of the Google family include Class Dojo, and there are many other resources, but I usually start within Google land and think Google Docs and Forms. And I really like to focus on those collaborative tools that I can use, whether it is to collect data that I am sharing with the student, with the family, with other teachers or administrators. So I'm going to start my conversation with myself. Am I looking at an internalizing or an externalizing behavior? So is this something that I see as a student is flipping desks or cursing out loud? Or is this an internalizing behavior where the student might be distracted or be shutting down during instruction? But based on those behaviors, I'm going to think about what is that visible thing that I am seeing or counting, and that will help me determine what tools that I need to use. So within the state of Kentucky, we already have several fantastic resources available to us. One of those is the KDE IEP guidance document, and we are now using the 2019 guidance document, but you might have a copy of the 2018. Whichever version you're looking at, this chart remains the same on the IEP development process. And the key thing about this is note that the very bottom, pink, you see this ongoing progress monitoring. And we know that we are looking at a student's progress monitoring data and their progress throughout the IEP development process. And also as we're analyzing, are they making progress on their goals? Is the specially designed instruction or the supplementary aids and services that we've chosen making an impact on this student's learning? Is the data telling us that there might be additional special factors that we need to be considering? Each and every element of the IEP is informed by the progress monitoring data that we've collected, and so we want to make sure that what we're identifying as that key behavior truly will help us inform decisions to help a student make progress. So as we begin digging in, I usually start with Google Sheets. And the first thing we want to do is to identify a goal. So let's consider this goal here. Given a task demand, Sarah will begin within 2 minutes. And the method of measurement, I'm looking at latency. How long does it take Sarah to get started working? So now I want to think, okay, Google Sheets was what I was originally considering, but might Google Forms also work? And we know that Google Forms, anything that I collect in Google Forms, I can populate into a Google Sheet. It will automatically create one for me if I tell Google to. And so when I am trying to decide, do I want to start with Sheets or do I want to use Forms? Some of my decision-making process looks like this. If I am going to collect a limited amount of data where I think that I'm only going to be using a few columns, so maybe I'm going to use column A for all the dates that I'm collecting data, and then column B, I'm just inputting how many words per minute Sarah read, or how many minutes it took her to begin working. Right? Either of those things, that would be simple to collect and I'm not likely to get off task. But if I'm collecting multiple pieces of data, so maybe it's how long it took Sarah to get started, How many words per minute did she read? How many errors did she have? How many corrections did she have? Now I'm working across not just column A, but maybe all the way across to column F. And there might be a chance for me to not record data accurately. If that's the case, then I often choose a Google form so that I can record the data there, and then it will automatically populate across the correct columns in my Google Sheet. All right, so thinking about Google Forms then, if I'm going to create a new Google form, I'm always going to start at my Google Drive and click on the New button. Then I'm going to choose a new folder. I am going to scan down for more. After I scan down for more, I'm going to choose Google Forms. When I said stop at a folder, I often go ahead and set up a new folder first to work that might have the students in a certain class period, or maybe just that student, and that student has 3 goals, so I might have 3 forms. But I do like to organize my Google Drive using folders so that I keep everything organized. But after I click on New, then it's going to open up this button that shows me folder all the way down to More. You'll need to click on More so that you can access Google Forms. So the next thing you're going to do is name your form. So whether you're looking at how long it takes Sarah to get started working or how many words per minute Sarah is reading, you're going to name the form. After I name the form, it automatically has this first question. And so I might be just writing down how many words per minute Sarah had. Google will automatically try to guess what you're looking for in the response. And so here it guessed that I wanted a short answer, which is correct. I'm just going to have a few words. If this isn't correct, you can click this down arrow and it will give you other options. After I have decided maybe this is all the questions I needed, then I'm ready to open up the Settings button and choose, do I need to restrict the number of users or people that can access the form? Right now, it should be set up within your Google domain for just people at your school to view. And we know that for progress monitoring, we're going to collect data more than once. So I don't want to limit to one response. I want to be able to respond to the same form multiple times. I also want to decide, do I want to be able to go back in and edit my responses? And do I want to see the summary chart every time I submit? So those are all choices you have within that world. But what if I have more questions? So my words per minute wasn't enough. I want another question. Over to the right, you're going to see this floating bar, and the top one is a circle with a plus in it. If I click on that plus, it is going to generate a secondary question for me, and I can keep adding questions as many as I need. I can also reorganize my questions if I've got them in an order and I think, ooh, my third question should really come second. So after I'm satisfied with the number of questions I have in my survey, then I want to click on this Send button. And that Send button will give me a series of choices for how I want to collect my data. So whether I want to email this form out to a set number of teachers, maybe Sarah has 6 teachers that are going to be collecting data, so I would email it to each teacher. Or maybe I want to just send them the link and embed that in an email, but I've got several choices that I can use to decide how I'm going to send out that form. And if I decide to get a link, I would click on that second button over. Right now I have an option to shorten the URL. Google tells us that's going to go away. So if it does and you don't see that button, that's okay. You see this longer URL. You can copy and paste that in. And then to access the data that you've collected over time, you will automatically see the questions box, which is where we were typing the questions, and next to it was the word responses. When I click on responses, and then here in the green, you see the ability to generate a Google Sheet. That Google Sheet will automatically update once you generate it. Every time you add data, you don't have to create a new Google Sheet each time. This one Google Sheet will continue to update live. So you'll have the option of either seeing your data appear within the Google form responses or by looking at the sheet. The really nice thing about using forms is that it will time and date stamp your submission so that you know exactly when you took that data, so that doesn't have to be something you enter every time. It doesn't have to be a question you add in your form. After I've got all of my data, then I could quickly jump in and create a chart, and using Chart Editor, I can modify to see how I want to be able to view that material. So if I want to view it as a bar graph, as a line chart, however you want to look at this data, you have that ability. Within the world of Google Sheets, we definitely can personalize our data. So whether we're looking at the dates we took the data, and then the student's accuracy on solving 2-digit by 2-digit addition problems, we always have the ability to make a chart so that we can analyze the data. And one of the requirements of progress monitoring data, according to the Kentucky IEP guidance document, is that our data be easy to collect and easy to analyze. So having our data transferred into a chart where we can analyze it quickly definitely meets those requirements. So hopefully this looked easy peasy to you as I flew through this training. I'm going to link in a separate attachment that will have a few other ways to look at building your own Google Sheet. But some additional great resources you can use include Class Dojo. And I love Class Dojo. I love it when teachers use it for what I call good. So displaying up on the board isn't always using Class Dojo for good, especially if you're using some of the needs improvement features where students are hearing that negative sound over time. But if you're using it for good and you're personalizing your Class Dojo, then that's a fantastic use of Class Dojo. Class Dojo allows me to create my own classes, and I can have classes of one, so just one student in a class. I can also personalize all of the different icons, and I can weight them differently. So if I want to weight helping others as worth 3 points and answering questions is only 1 point, I can modify those. I can also add as many positive or needs work as I would like that would meet my students' goals. The one downside that is happening right now in Class Dojo, and the reason I don't use it for progress monitoring data, is because it doesn't at this point give me the ability to turn that data into a chart. I would have to go back and manually count up the number of reinforcers each day and then move them into a Google Sheet to be able to analyze it in that format that we typically use for progress monitoring in Kentucky. So if we're looking at academic data, like words per minute, problem solved correctly, or time in seat, time to start work, any of those skills, I definitely like using Google Sheets and or Google Forms. If you are questioning, though, what else can I think about when I'm looking at data collection, the website CI3T has phenomenal professional learning resources. And if you haven't had a chance to explore them yet, I'd highly recommend that, especially if you're still in the stage where you're trying to figure out what's the best data collection system, what do I need to collect data on to impact my students' learning, then CI3T has great resources. So for example, pre-correction is an evidence-based practice that I can use to support students being able to follow directions. And it has all kinds of fantastic resources that come with it. If I explore on CI3T, including a quick video, they have all kinds of intervention grids, checklists, forms you can use to collect data on. So just a phenomenal resource. I really love the implementation checklists that they offer. It really lets you look at, do I have all of the pieces that I need and all the environmental setup so that I could use this strategy. IRIS modules are still a great way to learn about a number of issues specific to special education and teaching in general. They have 80 resources specific to data collection and progress monitoring. So definitely a great place to jump in. They also have more than 100 resources on behavior and classroom management strategies. So if you haven't checked out IRIS lately, I'd recommend you jump in there. If you've got any questions, I am always happy to help. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, and make sure if you're doing this as part of our training series that you jump back into your email and complete the quiz/evaluation at the end so that you can get your PD certificate. Hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for joining us.